Reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. I am Kende Olale. Thank you for joining us. The Senate has passed the bill for an act to prohibit the manufacture, importation and use of chemical weapons in Nigeria. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko is standing by to highlight some of the significance of this bill.
Well, the devastating effects of chemical and biological weapons have become a global concern. And as a signatory to the United Nations Weapons Convention Protocol, the Senate, in its wisdom, commenced the process of domesticating the protocol. And then during the debate on this bill, senators were actually particular about the essence of this bill, what it seeks to achieve for Nigeria, especially in the area of enhancing security in the nation. And then I have with me Senator Jibrin Barau, who actually presented the report that was considered and passed today. He's here to tell us more on what that bill seeks to achieve. Thank you for joining us.
Well, let me not go into technicalities of the bill. The bill essentially is to bring under control anything to do with chemical or biological weapons, to make sure it's well controlled in a way that it will not be destructive to our nation. This is essentially, the reason for the processing of this bill, to also go in line with international conventions, to domesticate those conventions in Nigeria. So I'm optimistic that the process will be expedited in a manner that it will be passed by the House of Representatives as soon as possible, and then it will now be taken to the President. It will be taken to the President for his assent. And I'm sure, looking at the importance of the bill, certainly I'm very, very optimistic that the President will give his assent without delay.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, the Senate also passed the electric power sector reform amendment, which seeks to prohibit theft of electricity and its installations. Well, this is what we have for you at this moment.
Thank you, Ignatius, for that enlightening talk there. Still on legislative matters, the House of Representatives has urged the federal government to stop the issuance of fish import license, as it is inimical to the economic diversification policy of the federal government. The lawmakers on Tuesday's plenary also requested the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and the Bank of Agriculture to provide incentives to local fish farmers to boost local production and create jobs. In addition, a motion from Representatives Jonathan Gaza, the House, expressed worries that fish importers have turned Nigeria into a dumping ground, in addition to other health concerns. Another committee will therefore be set up to investigate all licenses granted for fish importation within the last 1 year. Moving on to security matters, an elite force positioned to tackle insecurity in Nigeria with focus on air power describes the course for 2018 graduate of the Nigerian Air Force War College, Makurdi. Correspondent Najatu Tijani reports that the 18 graduates drawn from the Nigerian Armed Forces are now certified in advanced counterinsurgents operation with a focus on advanced air power tactics. The Minister of Defense, represented by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Olonishakin, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, Deputy Governor of Benue State, Benson Abono, and traditional rulers hailed the accomplishment as a direct response to security challenges. New tactics adopted in human trafficking, especially in the northwest, compelled the Nigerian Immigration Service to convene a strategic meeting in Kano to spur the service to be more proactive in dealing with the problem through deployment of sophisticated equipment and identification of areas suspected to harbor human traffickers and the victim before moving to border areas. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports.
Trafficking in persons and smuggling of migrants have been a serious source of concern which affect the country's image. But the quest to curb the menace to the barest minimum by the present administration is yielding positive results. It was in line with the renewal impetus to halt human trafficking that the zonal meeting brought together controllers of immigration from northwest Nigeria to fashion out modern techniques to meet contemporary challenges. Assistant Controller General Zombi Champrika Oyedeji stressed the need for controllers to brace up and key into the directives of Controller General of Immigration in addressing the problem of trafficking in persons.
We are saying no to trafficking in women. Our mothers, our sisters, no to trafficking in children. The youth are the leaders of tomorrow.
On the issue of banditry and kidnapping in Sokoto and Zamfara states, the ACG commended the collaborative effort of the security agencies.
Once we gather them, that is why we need the cooperation of everybody up to the ward level. Give any security personnel whom you feel can take the information to the right place so that our country can be rid of this menace.
During the meeting, the ACG Zombi inspected the newly installed walkie-talkie for effective internal and external communication for officers and men of the Nigeria Immigration Service. Mohammed Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
The Bora Media Organization has hailed the military authorities and the police and other security agencies over their successes in the recent frontal offences to stem the tide of insecurity in the country. In a statement by its chairman, Ni Akinshiju, the group says the success stories of the last few days are a consequence of proactive actions initiated by the president. After an extraordinary meeting with service chiefs, heads of security agencies, and ministers saddled with the responsibility of overseeing security agencies. The group also noted that the international dimension of the security challenge, especially in the northern part of Nigeria, President Buhari was in charge at the weekend for an emergency regional security meeting involving about 29 countries, which was a good opportunity for the president to seek international support for the quest to stifle supply lines of small arms and light weapons to bandits and insurgents terrorizing some parts of the country. The group also emphasized that it was gratifying that the military and the police have risen to the occasion by recording great feats in Borno and Zamfara state, as well as the Abuja-Kaduna corridor. According to the group, President Buhari has acquainted himself well on the basis of the performance of security forces against banditry, insurgency and kidnapping in recent days. The nation appreciates the sacrifice of these gallant men and women who daily put their lives on the line in the interest of Nigerians and the country solidly behind them. Benue State Acting Governor Benson Abono has directed security agencies to fish out the killer of the son of a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party in Boko, who was gunned down Saturday night by unidentified gunmen. The acting governor, who stated this during a condolence visit to the home of the party chieftain, said he has also directed that a major stakeholder meeting in the area be convened to examine the rising cases of insecurity in the area and to tackle them. This is Nationwide, and our first stop is the Center of Excellence, Lagos, where Michael is standing by. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Kainde, and welcome to Lagos. The Acting Inspector General of Police, Adamu Mohammed, has stressed the enforcement of discipline in the Nigerian police force. The Acting Inspector General emphasized this when he paid a courtesy visit to the Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode over recent cases of extrajudicial killings recorded in the state. Nusa Osula reports.
The Acting Inspector General, who was accompanied on the visit by top police chiefs, explained that the affected officers have already been arrested and tried internally, while assuring residents that they would also face criminal prosecution for such acts, which according to him was against the ethics of the force.
We are to serve members of the public who are not their masters but who are their servants. And the officers and men in Lagos State have been doing a lot of good job. They have been fighting crime and they have been succeeding. But the act of few officers out of many in Lagos State is denting the good work that others have done.
Governor Akinwumi Ambode commended the acting IG for taking it upon himself to promptly address the extrajudicial killings in the state personally, despite his responsibilities across the country.
For the IG himself to come promptly to address issues that relate to, public feelings about SARS and other things, and actually talking to Nigerian police officers themselves. So that means it's taking the responsiveness to within the Nigerian police itself before we start to address extra issues that have to bother on citizens.
The governor assured the police chief of the continuous support of the state's government. In Lagos, Nusa Osula, NTA News.
Inasmuch as Lagos residents are looking forward to the commencement of the rainy season as a result of the intense heat being experienced, they are not oblivious of the challenges associated with the rains. One of such is the frequent flooding, which most times has devastating effects on residents in the state. Ken Egbeluge in this report takes a look at the state of drainage and government's effort to prevent flash floods across the metropolis whenever it rains.
Rainy season in the state has always raised concern across the metropolis. This is not unconnected with the level of preparation for rainy season in the state. This has made it difficult to ensure that excess water is properly channeled away from the roads and communities into the drainages. This is Agungi Ajiron Road off Lekki Aja Expressway. Whenever it rains, this road is usually flooded. Some of the residents share their experiences.
Water, they always fill the roads. We cannot even walk around, even enter some people's houses.
Unless those that are privileged to have big cars that they can drive inside the water. Nobody is willing to trek home down here to patronize us.
The quarter no good. But if water full, the quarter no they flow.
They should create a drainage system where the waters can be channeled to and everything, and find easier way for people to be able to go to work when it's raining.
The state government has gone into maintenance of the channel. We have engaged a contractor on a scheduled maintenance basis for 3 years.
Once in a while, they bring signboards and they are like, okay, government at work, we're coming to work so day, and everybody's expectant.
The issue is that when they give out this project and they don't set up a committee to follow up this project, so when they do this thing in a halfway, they just write a letter to the government that, okay, this project has been done.
Most of the houses also, they build them to cover where sewage should supposed to pass.
Some stakeholders in the state believe that the time to act is now in order to avoid recurrent disaster. In Lagos, Ken Egbeluge, NTA News.
Managing domestic and industrial waste in densely populated areas requires some form of proactive techniques as well as evacuation to forestall environmental degradation and health hazards. This is what the Lagos State government has done with its biggest dump site at Olusosun Ojota. Paulo Mukago tells us more about recent developments at the site.
This is the Olusosun dump site, Lagos. It is reputed to be the largest not only in Lagos but Nigeria. It receives about 2.1 million tons of waste annually, comprising solid, construction, and electronic waste. The dump site has evolved over the years with steps taken to reduce the stench and gases that are emitted from the waste. Also, the liquid water that comes out from the decomposed waste has been properly channeled to a pond within the site using the carpet system to cover wastes with sand and laterite from the environment to reduce the odor, maintain gas and carbon dioxide.
We have enough machineries to push the refuse, which will not be a problem because when they don't get to push on time, that can also be a problem. But now we have enough machineries to push the waste into the pit.
The passers-by and people in the neighborhood say a lot of differences and changes have been noticed, particularly in the last 1 year.
I also noticed that some of the places were covered up. The ones that were burning were covered up.
You don't spend like before. I thought some people passed here before. We would say, hey, government. But don't change now.
Unlike before, when we come in, you know, there's this hustle and bustle to dump. But now you go in, you come out, your work is quite easier and faster now.
Established in 1992, the dump site will be shut in the next 3 years, giving way for a research center to train professionals in recycling and waste management. In Lagos, Paul Omukago, NTA News.
That is our contribution from Lagos. Nationwide continues after this break. Please stay with us.
Marketing of broadcast media products requires special skills which can only be acquired through training and experience. NTA TV College Jos is therefore organizing an intensive 3-week course on modern trends in broadcast media marketing. The course will equip participants with necessary skills to deal with contemporary marketing challenges and competition in the broadcast media. It is an essential course for marketers in the broadcast media to sharpen their skills and improve their capacities. Date, 23rd April to 10th May 2019. Venue, NTA Television College, Refuge, Jos. Cost fee, 100,000 naira per participant, accommodation inclusive. For more inquiries, please contact us on 0803 314 4383 or 0806 980 9807. NTA TV College Jos, training you to be the best you want to be.
Export incentive in agriculture for economic growth and development. That's the focus on NTA Tuesday Live this week. The program, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m., promises to be incisive and educative. Don't miss it.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA. When you hear that sound, you know that Nigeria's most authentic newscast is about to begin. NTA Network News, breaking the news for over 40 years.
Thank you for staying with us. And straight to judiciary matters. The FCTI court sitting in Maitama has dismissed the embezzlement charges filed against the suspended Director General of the Security and Exchange Commission, Muniru Gazar, by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Related Offences Commission. The court ruled that the severance package paid to him is in line with the guidelines of the commission. The ICPC accused Muniru Gazar of using his position as the DG of SEC in 2015 to corruptly appropriate 115 million naira to himself as a severance package after he had worked there as an executive commissioner. The second defendant was accused of aiding Gazar to misappropriate the funds. In his judgment, Justice Hussaini Baba Yusuf said the charges of criminal breach of trust and corrupt enrichment were not sustainable, and the guidelines which established the Security Act gave the board authorities to formulate guidelines for its smooth conduct, and this include fixing the severance package of the DG. Citizens' participation, especially by way of holding political appointees accountable, has been identified as a key factor in complementing government effort in the fight against corruption. To achieve this, a body known as Say No campaign has reiterated the need for media and civil societies to create awareness that will engage the public in ending corruption in the country. This was at a roundtable organized with the aim to assess the anti-corruption crusade and come up with fresh ideas that will help the government fight against corruption.
As citizens of the country, as the ones who bear the greatest brunt of corruption, we need to work to ensure that as this new government comes in, that we are able to at least give them some mirror of how they can look and reflect and see what new things that can be brought to bear.
The promise of the administration to actually confront corruption crisis in the country and to prioritize the fight against corruption, I think has made probably the biggest difference. So the political will, I think, is probably something that Nigerians that have been a part of this fight against corruption will celebrate. I think that the administration's prioritization of the asset recovery work also is something that is outstanding.
Moving on, Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum and Resources, Dr. Emmanuel Ibe Kachiko, has advised Nigerians against the current reactive commercial behavior in the face of rumor of pending removal of subsidy in petroleum product. He made the remark in Good Morning Nigeria in his flagship program. Ololade Alayaki has details.
The Minister for Petroleum Resources assured Nigerians of sufficient petroleum products, while cautioning motorists against panic buying. He also noted that the need to fix local refineries, involve and get more private sectors present in the sector to reduce importation of petroleum products and promote local content. He also stated that 3 out of the 10 modular refineries will soon be up and running.
All over the world, petroleum subsidy issues have been issues for the president of a country. They're that emotive. You couldn't just get up and say, I found a solution, I'm going to go and execute it, because he has other considerations. There are security considerations, there are social upheaval considerations, there are geographical balancing considerations. That's why he's president.
Other guests also noted that removing subsidy on petroleum products should not be the focus for now, but how to subsidize other sectors of the economy that would create employment.
When you are spending money on subsidy, some other things have been suffering over the years. There's need for us to really sit down. What are these benefits beyond keeping social unrest in a keg?
They also emphasized the need to intensify gas utilization in the power sector.
I applaud the federal government. They've been able to bring down the issue of pricing. Then we need more in terms of funding to incentivize gas production.
As a country, Nigeria is rich. When you talk about investment in gas, you are even talking about going towards a cleaner fossil fuel.
The guests advised managers of the industry to urgently address the current bureaucracy in the sector. In Abuja, Ololade Alayaki, NTA News.
Surveyors who compromise the code of ethics of their profession will have their certificate withdrawn. This note of caution is coming from the Surveyors Council of Nigeria, as 371 members were inducted into the council in Abuja, bringing the total number of registered land surveyors to almost 4,000.
The numerical strength of the surveying industry in Nigeria continued to widen, as 371 fresh surveyors inducted by the Surveyors Council of Nigeria. Expectedly, they are glad with the new feat attained. But for the grandmasters in the surveying field, they are coming at the most challenging time in the history of the profession, because they have a critical role in stemming the rising tide of bidding collapses in Nigeria.
They have to practice professionally. Surveyors that will determine
how the building should be set out, and how vertical is that pillars and the support structures that will keep the building, so as to save the lives and cost of a lot of things which are occasioned by the collapse of building and other infrastructure.
The country needs to know to solve most of the environmental problems that we have, and we must not miss. Whatever you see in us that is not good, do not do what? Do not emulate it. And above all, remember that you have a service to God and to your country.
Yes, challenging moment, but for the Surveyor General of the Federation, the federal government is set to offer them the best, considering their indispensable roles in the nation's infrastructural industry.
As I speak, recruitment is going on. So those of you who are qualified, please avail yourself of these chances.
Certificates and seals confirm their admission into the respected surveying family. For the outstanding ones, awards and prizes presented to them. And they expect the best from them. Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
Let's now go over to Jos for more stories on Nationwide.
Welcome to Jos. As Catholics the world over celebrate the Christmas Mass, political leaders and the entire populace have been urged to contribute to the welfare of the less privileged and shun post-election violence that can cause ethno-religious clashes among communities in Nigeria. The Apostolic Administrator, Jos Diocese, His Grace Archbishop Ignatius Kaigama, said peace and unity can always thrive in a conducive environment. Ijeoma Ozomena reports that the Mass was celebrated at the Fatima Cathedral, Jos.
Mass is a solemn service and the display of unity between the bishop and the priest, as well as the renewal of their priestly vows for the salvation of mankind. The Apostolic Administrator of Jos Diocese, Archbishop Ignatius Kaigama, took his homily from the book of Luke chapter 4, urging the priests to persevere in their calling, be Christ-like, and render selfless service to mankind. He urged Christians as they prepare for the celebration of Easter to make straight their paths and rededicate their lives to the service of God and the nation in holiness.
And we are gathered to gladly renew our priestly commitment to spread the good news, bringing hope to the hopeless, comfort to those who suffer, and being available to serve people in a selfless manner without putting self first or counting the cost.
While blessing the holy oils where the celebration of the Mass takes its name from, he emphasized that the holy chrism oil, which gives a sweet smell, reminds Catholic faithfuls of the order of sanctity and they strive for salvation. The blessed oil is usually used for sacraments of baptism, confirmation, marriage, as well as consecration of altars and dedication of churches throughout the year. In Jos, Ijeoma Ozomena, NTA News.
Chairman, Plateau State Traditional Council of Chiefs and Emirs and Bongom Jos, Dr. Jacob Ganguba, has restated the role of traditional institutions in peace building and containing the security challenges facing the country. The Royal Father gave this indication when he granted audience to the management of NTA Jos Network Center in his palace in Jos. Kim Gods reports.
His Royal Majesty Dr. Jacob Gyambuba, who warmly received management of the center, commended NTA for the quality programming and good efforts at showcasing the rich tourism potentials of the state. While noting areas of improvement, he also applauded NTA Jos for the wide coverage of the previous Nzemberon Festival. The Zonal Director of the Center, Mr. Peter Ochibo, commended the role of the Royal Father in the promotion of peace and security, as well as the projection of the rich cultural heritage of the Plateau people, which is in line with the mission and core values of NTA in projecting the true African perspective and commitment to peace. The ZD said he is in the palace to pay homage to the Royal Father and pledge his loyalty and acknowledge his contributions to the peace efforts in the state. He assured that the center will continue to partner with the Traditional Council for the interests of the state. In Jos, Kim Goetz, NTA News.
Well, that's all from Jos. Back to you on Nationwide.
Thank you, Sani. To help teachers keep up to date on the most current concept of teaching, the Defence and Police Officers' Wives Association, DEPOA, is embarking on a 3-day workshop to promote professional growth among our teachers. Linda Ogidi reports.
Learning and professional development is important for students' achievement. With the team, higher order thinking and teaching skills, a recipe for national development. President of DEPOA emphasizes the importance of the training.
We want them to be creative, we want them to be evaluative. So that's why we know it's very important to train and retrain our teachers for improvement.
The teachers were also encouraged to be conversant with techniques that will enhance their thinking and teaching skills.
If foundation is set, is in order, is concrete, you find out that these children skyrate easily without stress.
The school is becoming bigger. The secondary school is also in it. So we need to learn how to make the students to become a kind of self-sustaining students. So anything we gain here, we make them to work on it and to serve themselves instead of us to be with them all the time.
It is agreed here that workshops like this are vital for an effective teacher learning and professional development. In Abuja, Linda Ogidi, NTA News.
Still on education, accounting and other officers in the chain of financial transaction in the Ministry of Education, its parastatals and federal government colleges have been urged to apply themselves diligently to all prescribed accounting guidelines and financial regulations. The Director of Tertiary Education, Mr. Joe Lojo, stated this on behalf of the Permanent Secretary at a workshop on the use of Government Integrated Financial Management Information System in preparing public sector accounting standard. The director said such training is imperative in building competent officers with in-depth understanding of the world new accounting system, most especially now that government is focusing on judicious utilization of funds.
Designed to update the scope of IPSA's practices for comprehensive and consistent reporting of government financial statements at the end of every financial year.
Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports that the Integrated Financial Management Information System is designed to make use of modern information and communication technologies to assist federal government plan and use its financial resources for efficient and effectively. Maiduguri is next in line for our Nationwide, and Mohammed Ibrahim is our guide.
Thanks, Kehinde, and welcome to Maiduguri. Ahead of Easter celebration, Borno State government has inaugurated a high-powered committee for the distribution of Easter gifts to enable Christian communities celebrate Easter with ease across the state. Rebecca Bature reports.
The State Deputy Governor Usman Mohammed Rukwa, while inaugurating the committee, charged members to ensure judicious distribution of the items among the brethren. He noted that the committee members were selected and appointed based on merit and past experience, therefore appealed to them to justify the confidence reposed in them. The Deputy Governor, while wishing all Christians a successful Easter celebration, urged them to pray for peace and stability to reign in the state and the country at large. The Commissioner, Minister of Religious Affairs, Mustafa Panarambi, said the Borno State government decided to set up the high-powered committee in order to ensure fair distribution of Easter gifts to Christian brothers and peaceful commemoration. The chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Borno State Bishop Naga Mohammed, thanked Borno State government for its support and assistance to Christians in the state. In Maiduguri, Rebecca Buturi, NTA News.
Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative, PCNI, has facilitated another contribution from the oil and gas sector of Petroleum Products Pricing and Regulatory Agency, PPRA, towards presentation of medical equipment and school furniture to Borno State government. Now details of the report. The PCNI has been working with the Borno State government alongside Victim Support Fund and other stakeholders to provide urgent needs in terms of healthcare, education, as well as rebuilding of critical infrastructure ravaged by the Boko Haram insurgency over the years. Vice Chairman PCNI, represented by State Coordinator